Okay, so can anyone name 3 players on the Los Angeles Lakers? Yeah. Okay. Can anyone name 3 players on the Milwaukee Bucks? No? Okay, yeah, that's a big difference. Now, basketball is a phenomenon that is universal. It is played all around the world, and it is one of the Olympics' favorite games. Basketball is most popular here in the U.S., but the National Basketball Association is one of America's favorite games, largely due to its fast pace, its high-scoring games, and the intensity, and because of the superstars that are in it that we like to idolize. Now, as a personal fan of the game, I never really took into consideration like the different payrolls that each team makes, and the marketability for each team is based on how much revenue it can generate, and a lot of the percentage of profits that it makes is based on the team's hometown. So, if we think about this, how can a team from Oklahoma City, which is referred to as a college town, how could it compare to a metropolis like Los Angeles? So we can see that there really isn't any equality in basketball. So today I want to argue why I believe it would be beneficial for the NBA to implement the same salary cap throughout the entire league. To prove my point, I will discuss some advantages of salary caps, and the perspective of the big market teams on salary caps, and I will compare and contrast the big market teams to the small market teams. Okay, so first we'll start by viewing some advantages that salary caps provide. Salary caps enhance competitive balance. They set a limitation on the maximum amount that a team can spend on player salaries. So if each team had the same salary cap, then all of their payrolls would be relatively the same. And if each team's payroll was the same, then that would not allow for all the high-paid players to be on one team, like the Lakers with Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, and Steve Nash, or the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. It would cause a distribution of talent throughout the entire league, which would create a competitive balance. So, Evan Toddy and Mark Owens, authors of Salary Caps and Competitive Balance in Professional Sport Leagues, claim that team owners publicly claim that salary caps are in place so that each team can be competitive regardless of the characteristics of their home market. Owners contend that salary caps prevent richer, larger market teams from increasing their payrolls to levels that would allow them to accumulate talent far superior to that of small market teams. So since salary caps create an environment where all teams spend the similar amount on talent, then the owners claim that the distribution of talent is similar across the teams, and this similarity would enhance competitive balance. So if there's competitive balance, then there would be higher quality of competition, and then if there's higher quality of competition, then there would be more entertaining games. So maybe a game between the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Bobcat would actually mean something. Maybe people would actually tune in to watch them, or maybe their arenas would actually fill in. So if there are more entertaining games, then the entertainment values go up, so will television ratings, so will the ticket sales and merchandise sales, which would all benefit the league. And if there's a level playing field, then each team would have the same odd of reaching the pinnacle in the sport, which is the NBA championship. So now that we have gone over why an equal salary would benefit the NBA, now we will discuss the perspective of the big markets, how they feel about the salary cap. So, author of the article, NBA big market teams do not have as big as an advantage as people think, David D. Ryder claims that championships are determined by good ownership, intelligent front offices, and quite a bit of luck. For evidence of this notion, they point to the San Antonio Spurs, who are a small market, but who have won 19 division titles and 4 NBA championships. And they've done so by creating a championship caliber team around their focal point, Tim Duncan. So another example would be the Oklahoma City Thunder, with another small market that with smart draft choices they drafted Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and now they have one of the strongest rosters in the NBA. So finally, let us compare and contrast the big market teams to the small market teams. NBA.com reports that big market teams such as the Los Angeles Lakers, the Chicago Bulls, the Boston Celtics, and the New York Knicks have won a total of 41 of the past 66 NBA championships. And that leaves the remaining 25 to small market teams like the Dallas Mavericks, the Houston Rockets, or the San Antonio Spurs. So if the ultimate goal is winning, then we can see that the big market teams have a huge advantage over the small market teams. They won a total of like 2/3 of the NBA championships. So for the fans of the small market teams who claim that the big city teams win too much, their complaint has merit to it. So a common argument by the small market team owners is that the small market teams like the New Orleans Hornets, Indiana Pacers, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Denver Nuggets will never be able to compete with the teams like the Lakers or the Knicks, because when it comes to signing or retaining the superstar talent, the big market teams have a lot more money that they're willing to spend on the players. And the small market team owners want a system in place that would allow them to actually be able to compete with the big market teams, because they want the talent to be spread out around the league. So, because they claim that the big spending teams lure in all of the superstar talent with their so-called market dominance. So, to sum up, I believe that each team should have the same salary cap. If each team had the same salary cap, then that would serve justice to the small market teams who don't win as much as the big market teams. And because why should all the small market teams be overlooked while the big market teams are glorified and winning championships? And if it's solely based on revenues, then can't someone infer that a winning team creates profits? I mean, I know I would want to see a winning team. Like, for example, the Los Angeles Clippers. No one really used to like them until they started winning and they were relevant in the sport, and now their games are being sold out. So if there's competitive balance in the sport, then every team would create profits in large quantity. So in 2011, the NBA went on a lockout because the owners had to agree upon a new collective bargaining deal. And the terms of the deal states that the shared revenue will be shared amongst all teams based on performance rather than market-based. Now, I believe this is the right step, but I still believe that the small market teams can do more to create equal opportunity. And one way of doing so is by having the same salary cap throughout the entire league. Thank you.
807.
Thank you. So Ian, tell us your thoughts.
I thought the intro was good.
You guys, this is picking up all of the other sounds, and it has a hard time picking up the speaker. So if you could hold it down, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
The intro was good. It had a good thought of ideas, and I liked the point with the same salary cap and how it would eliminate basically the big three, as the NBA call, or as a lot of teams call them. And then also how you compared the big to small and how the distribution or the championships. And I saw that you're reading off the cards a lot, even when it wasn't statistic or salary cap or anything like that. But you had good citing, and I thought a lot of the main points were good, and the conclusion was fun.
Okay. Yeah, I like the rhetorical question that you had at the beginning as an attention device. You've got a very clear statement of what your goal is, and there's an excellent preview. You follow that organizational structure during the speech, so all of the structural stuff is solid. I thought you did a good job providing us with examples during the speech also. I think you could use a little bit more statistical information on correlations between spending, for instance, and achievement. I think that there's a presupposition here that is automatically connected, and I don't know that that's the case. The other thing that I think could be a little bit stronger would be some examples of successful uses of salary caps in other sports, maybe as a way of drawing a comparison. Why, look, it's worked here in baseball, and we look at the results that we get here because they have a salary cap there, or it's worked well in hockey or football or wherever else they've had something that's been practical there. I think that would be a good illustration. I thought you made very good audience contact. I mean, I know that you had the notes, but you usually look like you were talking to the audience, even though you had the notes, and you went to them pretty regularly, but I didn't think it was in a distracting way. I thought it was a pretty effective way. All right.